What is up, cinephiles, and welcome back to Screen Kings. For today's video, let's talk about the Taiwanese horror film called Incantation, now streaming on Netflix. This is directed by Kevin Ko, and a lot of talk has been circulating that this is probably the scariest Taiwanese horror film ever made. And while I haven't seen a lot of Taiwanese films, I gave it a shot. So this one follows the story of Li Ronan, played by Hsuan-yen, as she struggles to protect her daughter from an ancient curse she got after breaking a religious taboo 6 years ago. Now in the present, her daughter is the one suffering the consequences of her actions, and Ronan here would have to do whatever it takes to protect her daughter. Now this is a found footage film. While that is not really my cup of tea, I can understand the appeal behind those kind of format because you automatically place your viewer into an uncomfortable or unsettled state. Despite its deceptive format, it's still hard to pull it off effectively. Now that being said, I don't think this movie needed to be a found footage horror film. Maybe some parts of it needed to be, but as a whole, I don't think this movie is served well with that kind of format. When it comes to found footage films, the cinematography is purposefully terrible, but in here, it feels like a patchwork. And by patchwork, I mean we have different recordings coming from camcorders, from cell phones. Then suddenly there will be an odd switch to a third-person view, like in security camera footages. So as a viewer, it puts the question in my head, like, who's responsible for collating these videos? Because if this is supposed to be a found footage film, this seems to be like a patchwork of edited videos, and it doesn't feel as raw as it's intended it to be. Now, taking away that format, I think this movie is just riddled with a lot of horror cliches, and I don't think horror aficionados out there will find something new here. We got a lot of staples like the loud banging noises, and then there's this kid who can see things that adults can see. There are characters who's hitting their heads into the wall. That's something popular these days when it comes to horror films. A big cult, semi-nude cult members. Now, I gotta admit, while watching this movie, there are a couple of times that I have to look away because it's just gory. Maybe I can tolerate some scenes involving worms and teeth, but when they're trying to exploit on the internet hysteria behind trypophobia, now I'm gonna be nice and not flash any images here because that is one of the worst decisions in my life, googling what that term is. So I didn't know that I had that phobia until I learned it. So they're really capitalizing on that fear, and I just had to look away. Now, another thing why this found footage horror film does not work for this kind of story is because they're trying to jump here from two timelines. There's the past and the present. In the past, we have Ronan here and her team of paranormal investigators. She's with her boyfriend and her sibling, I think, where they encounter this religious cult. In the present, where her daughter is now suffering the consequences and she will do whatever it takes to save her. So switching the story back and forth, sometimes it can feel confusing as opposed to having a straightforward cinematography and you get better shots, more cinematic moments, and just maybe switch it to a found footage during those intense moments when it needed it to be. Now, at the beginning of this film, there is this participation required from the audience that you are encouraged to say this chant. And of course, being the obedient viewer and just for the fun of it, I did it wholeheartedly, and it's just not a gimmick because there is a wicked payoff towards the end of the film. So it's up to you to bear the risk of watching this film and the amount of participation that you're gonna do. But for me, because I was feeling reckless at the moment, I actually did whatever the movie is asking me to do. So hopefully I will survive. But the thing is, that is probably the only intriguing thing that I find in this movie. It doesn't have a lot of groundwork when it comes to covering the build-up for the suspense, that when it came to the reveal towards the end, I felt like I already lost my interest because it felt longer than it needed to be. It's clocking at 2 hours. Maybe it would have been better if it's just 1.5 hours. And it's a shame because there is a heart to this story. It's the relationship of a mother and daughter, their bond of what are the lengths a mother will do to save her daughter. However, looking at the past and the present arc here, I don't think the movie gave a clear picture on the character arc of Ronan here, because in the past she encountered this terrible curse, and in the present she's fighting for the custody of her child. She wants her child to be in her life, and that will effectively put her child into danger. So whatever actions she did here, whatever her intentions are, it feels blurry. Is she only doing this because she has unconditional love for her child, or is she driven by guilt? It's not clear by the end of the film. So overall, this movie has a lot of surprises for the casual viewer. However, it's gonna take more than just cliches, horror cliches, to engage me, because this is not my cup of tea. Maybe I'm going too hard on this one, but whatever intrigue I found in the beginning of the film, it ultimately falls flat and underwhelming on a profound sense, if that's what you're looking for in your horror film. I can see what Kevin Ko is trying to do here. He's trying to explore different avenues when it comes to found footage, that you can do different mediums, but again, it just feels inconsistent when it comes to presentation. Or maybe he's trying to merge it with some cursed video tale in here, but because we have a lot of familiar supernatural tropes, it doesn't really fully elevate. The performances here are decent. Hsuan-yen really commits to the role, but I'll have to give this a 2 out of 5 stars. So that's it for my review of Incantation. That is just my opinion. If you disagree with me, that's okay. Sound off in the comment sections down below. Also, if you enjoyed watching this video, hit that like and subscribe to me for more content. Thank you so much guys for watching. Until then, I'll see you all on the next one.